we are delighted to have been asked to give out this award to someone who everyone in this room recognized as a true industry leader. Born in February 1954 in West Australia, our recipient spent her childhood between the Pilbara in northwest Australia, where she lived with her parents, Lang and Hope Hancock, on large sheep and cattle properties in the remote and rugged Iron Ore region, and boarding school at an Anglican girls' school in Perth. Learning the business from her father and rising through the ranks since becoming executive chairman of the Hancock Prospecting Group in 1992, she has been responsible for the protection and substantial growth of the company group. She has also continued to expand the pipeline of future projects for the HPPL group, including the Jacaranda Joint Venture Alliance of 2007, in 2011 and 2012 entering joint venture interest in extensive prospective coal tenements in Queensland. However, the focus of her efforts and investments since becoming executive chairman has been on Hope Downs, taking these tenements from a status of temporary titles to state agreement, then undertaking extensive expenditure and exploration and studies of them and undergoing an enormous approval process to building 3 mines and related facilities, Hope North, which commenced in 2007, Hope South, which commenced in 2008, and the nearing completion Hope 4 mine. This being in conjunction with the JV partner Rio Tinto Iron since July 2005. After the first mine was built at Hope North and the second under construction Hope South, this recipient increased expenditure and effort on Roy Hill. In addition, across the other side of Australia and Queensland, she has spread her efforts into the coal tenements in Galilee Basin and secured a rail corridor in port area critical for the 3 projects, and after further exploration, completed pre-feasibility and feasibility studies and progressed the lengthy approval process and secured a lease of land adjacent to the airport for the necessary supporting infrastructure. In 2010, she invested in and opened the first mine pit in Galilee, and in 2011 sent the first coal from the Galilee by ship to Asia. By 2011, this small company, chaired by a West Australian woman, had more world-class projects at this stage of development than even some of the world's largest mining houses, and had a 3rd major iron ore mine under construction with its partner RTIO. In 2012, HPPL secured Asian steel mills and Asian companies into Roy Hill, again without the assistance of investment banks, just with its small executive team. Recent years have also seen our Lifetime Achievement recipient become increasingly concerned about Australia's high costs, especially for industries, and has turned her mind to vision and policies as to how Australia can cope with and best prepare itself to address these problems. She is founder of Australian for North Development and Economic Vision, on which executive she serves and chairs. She has been honored with numerous awards recognizing her significant endeavors, risk-taking and investment in Australia, including in the last year alone, the Brand Laureate Woman of the Year, Brand Icon Leadership Award, Asia Pacific Brands Foundation, the Order of Merit by the Australian Olympic Committee, the 2014 Chairman of the Year Award, CEO Magazine, the 2014 Best Company for Leadership in the IAIR Awards, the 2014 Finance Asia Best Project Finance Deal of the Year Award for Roy Hill. To present this award, I would like to welcome Mr. Jeff Lau, CEO of Generalized Resources, to the stage. Now, can you please give a warm round of applause for this year's Asian Lifetime Achievement winner, who is of course Miss Rinehart.
distinguished guests and friends, I'm honoured to have been invited again to speak to you for the leading Pan-Asian mining industry investment event, Mines and Money. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. Behind me is a photo of where I spent a happy part of my childhood, as was mentioned in the very kind introduction. The station I loved growing up on, Hammersley Station in the Pilbara, northwest Australia, approximately 750,000 acres. Hammersley Station could fit nearly 3 Hong Kongs into it, or 39 Hong Kong islands. I know I had a great background, strict and loving, devoted parents, plenty of bush to ride in, and a dad who found lots of iron ore. A great friend since I was young, John Singleton, told me, you know, if your dad hadn't found all that iron ore, you'd have made a really great nurse. But I guess if nursing had been my future, I would not have been here chatting to you tonight. So that's probably enough of my Pilbara background. After my father's passing, a state agreement, as was mentioned, for Hope Downs, and starting 3 major mines with Rio Tinto iron ore at Hope Downs, and that's another work and risk story in itself, which boosted the size and capability of our private Australian company. We're into a mega project at Roy Hill in the Pilbara, Australia's best address for iron ore. The monies from Hope Downs have also permitted the advancement of other mineral tenements for a variety of other minerals across Australia, together with increasing pastoral and farming interests. All the naysayers are having a field day, but leaving them aside, Roy Hill is not only a project important to Australia and I believe our Asian partners and contractors, but has had quite a few impressive firsts. You've possibly already heard of our debt financing, the largest in the world for mainland mineral resource project, with financing from 4 Asian ECAs, plus Exim of the USA, plus the 11 largest banks in the world, indeed a grand total of 19 major banks. Plus, thanks to these funds, we have the world's largest bucket wheel reclaimers at both port and operating mine. We're leading the way with our technology at our Remote Operations Centre, ROC, where our headquarters for Roy Hill is, as you can see it on the screen there, and the largest commercial deal between Australia and South Korea in history, and the fastest iron ore loading conveyors in the Southern Hemisphere. And despite many onerous government regulations, approvals, permits, and licences, more than 4,000 of them, and that's not counting even more for construction, will be the largest single iron ore mine in Australia. And we believe with our dynamic schedule, the fastest mine operation to hit 55 million tonnes per annum of product, another first. Now, if only we could do something about that falling iron ore price. Well, we can't. If Australia doesn't supply iron ore, there's other countries who will. So we need to do what we can to cut Australia's high costs, and the even higher Pilbara ones in particular. That's where Australian governments come in, or should come in. They need to recognise soon that they need to come to the party and recognise falling commodity prices and cut the horrific expense of their regulations and compliance burdens. Are they? Big question. Hard to see real progress, and doubt we will, unfortunately, until companies and concerned Australians drive such cutting program. Tough times ahead if we don't do something to reduce unnecessarily onerous government cost burdens. But Roy Hill has never had it easy. Way back in 1992, when I became chair in March 1992 of our private family group, together with my chief GO, Richard Paquet, who you can see on the screen, we visited Roy Hill mid that year after I learned that BHP had dropped it. Anyone could have done this, and then applied for tenements others chose to drop. The land was open for applications. They just chose not to do our part. When I requested my Australian company to apply, our technical staff, consultants and executives were against Roy Hill. They warned against pursuing in writing. After all, BHP, so experienced and known on the Pilbara, had dropped the tenements. The oil found by BHP was only low grade. Even after we successfully applied for Roy Hill, advice continued to drop the tenements. I was actually the youngest in the company at the time, but I had my father's enthusiasm for Northern Australia. So after my father's passing, we achieved some of the Roy Hill tenements. We couldn't afford all. And even though our company was very short of cash with liabilities and contingent liabilities and litigation to defend, making it worse, we took these on. Almost from scratch, BHP had drilled about 17 holes. Only a few years later, we had to lose half of the Roy Hill tenements we'd applied for, as we didn't have the funds to meet the government obligations. Pity all the money I was, at least in the media, to have inherited from my father's bankrupt estate didn't fall from the sky to assist. But then, with bankruptcy, other than in the media, we all know there ain't money in bankrupt estates. Nor was there in the company, which the media like to reinvent as anything from a 75 million company, ignoring liabilities, contingent liabilities, etc., to make believe billions. Little money was actually a delaying obstacle, but then we had some unexpected beauties. Guess what happened after we'd spent around 100 million over years on exploration, studies and approval processes in good faith? A hell of a lot of money for us in those days, pre our first Hope Downs mine bringing revenue. A then WA government decided we'd lose 3 port berths we wrongly believed would be for Roy Hill, so we were landlocked, with nowhere to ship our ore and lots of our money out the door. This unexpected beauty lasted until after the next government came in. And that wasn't the last of the unexpected beauties for Roy Hill. But today we're more than 76% complete, as Tad said, and much to the upset of the naysayers, on budget and not behind schedule. Quite rare for major projects in high-cost, declining productivity Australia. And more than 7 million tonnes of high-grade ore is now on our stockpile. I'd like to show you some time-lapse videos, because I always believe pictures show a lot more than my words. The Wharf Module time-lapse. The rail track laying time-lapse with all of our rail is now laid. Mine processing plant construction. Portland side. So now, as we watch the Roy Hill mine, maybe we should be considering, how does Australia achieve the next doable mega project after Roy Hill. Exploration in Australia is falling. Fewer businesses are opening than at any time in the last decade, and companies are focusing their efforts offshore high-cost Australia. In the realities our country faces, it should be obvious that onerous government regulations adding delays and costs to business must be urgently and significantly reduced. It should be obvious that high-cost Australia, with, as mentioned, its declining productivity, must be cost competitive overseas or face losing important markets and consequently much-needed revenue. Australia needs to learn more from countries who have been successful in increasing economic growth and raising the living standards of their people. I would like to very warmly thank my Executive Director, Tadwa Trova, our Roy Hill team, our fantastic partners, Marubeni, POSCO and China Steel Corp, NAB and Bank National de Paribas, each of the debt funders, our contractors, Samsung and subcontractors, equipment suppliers, such as you see on the screen right now, Dalian, and each member of the 25,000 employees who have contributed to this project in recent years, plus the many tens of thousands of people who have contributed indirectly, and the 200 companies who have contributed to bring to fruition a mega project our country needs. And to thank the event organisers for the great privilege of this Lifetime Achievement Award, which award touches me deeply. And thank you most sincerely, and of course will be shared with Tad and my exceptionally hard-working, very small executive team. Thank you especially for your organisation's enthusiastic support of one of the world's most important industries, the mining industry. Very best wishes for your future, and if any of you are in Australia, November the 22nd, please come to Australia's Mining and Related Industries Day, which this year will be held at Port Hedland. Let's celebrate the mining and related industries and what they contribute to our standards of living, and let's encourage the Australian government to urgently cut red tape. Thank you.
Just while I'm talking, can I ask all the winners to please come onto stage for a final photograph, please? So if you could start coming towards the stage. Thank you, Mr. Rinehart. That was a wonderful, wonderful address, and an absolute pleasure to have you here to receive the award. I did want to just mention, bringing it down to a very micro level, that whilst we go about our business in Ascomont in Perth, and particularly with our journalists, and Christy Batten's here from miningnews.net, a lot of the feedback we get is whether it's the little guy in Balcata making widgets, or it's the recruiter in Subiaco, or whether it's the high visibility FIFO worker, is a lot of the constant feedback we receive is thank God for Roy Hill. So Mr. Rinehart, thank you very much for everything you've done for the Australian economy. I think, ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause, please. For those